we're live.
Hello.
Hi, Lorien. Oh, look at it. It says July is the 7th annual National Lost Pet Prevention Month, which is why we're here. Well,
Yay.
Here, I'll do that too. So good morning, everybody. It has been, Lorien, we used to do Facebook Lives when COVID started, the things that we did as That's Fine, just to support everybody as we started doing these coffees in the morning. And we did them for about 3 months straight. I took Mondays and Fridays off eventually, but for the majority of the last several months, it's been this. And then the last month and a half or so, it used to be just me, which was always sort of a shit show because I would be like, so hi, and I would be drinking my coffee and we'd be talking, but it felt like I was not giving enough. And so then we started bringing on guests, which has been fantastic. And now moving into July, I think that I'm giving everyone and myself a little bit of a break, and we're taking July as a hiatus, but just to only have on, I'll come on once a week or so, and certainly with great folks like yourself, great guests, we'll be here. So today is a resurgence of sorts because we haven't done a Facebook Live in probably a week or a week and a half, maybe. So I'm delighted, so delighted that it is you here today on July 1st, first day of the third quarter of the year. Hopefully that means something good. I don't know if it does, but hopefully it does. Lorien, welcome to Facebook Live with Fetch, Find, and Me.
Thank you. I personally like the beginnings of quarters because to me, like, even if it is, as you say, a shit show, like you can kind of wipe the slate clean and say, okay, new goals, new quarter. Now I can move forward with this. And like I did what I did in Q2, we marked that off, whether it was success or failure, but new quarter. And the beginning of a new month, and July is, as we just alluded to at the very beginning, it's Lost Pet Prevention Month, so it's always a big month around here.
Which unfortunate that we have to have a Lost Pet Prevention Month. Let's just say that's not obviously the ideal language that anyone wants to think about attached to pet ownership, especially for pet care providers. So may I tell you a story?
Of course.
A story that I have not actually retold in quite some time. Here I go. So the year was 1997, and that is actually 100% truth. I owned a company at the time called Out You Go, a dog walking, pet sitting, multi-service platform company, all done in-home. But at one point, I had a couple of special clients I started taking into my home one at a time. It was very, very selective because I had my own dogs. I lived in a 2-flat in the Oak Park, Illinois neighborhood, for those of you who may know Oak Park, which is a very progressive, cool neighborhood, which this actually is a part of the story. Oak Park is this sort of hotbed of progressive thinking. It was one of the first integrated communities in the country. It's just a cool place. Anyway, maybe less so now than it was, but certainly it was. That is just a side note. So anyway, I had this business, Out You Go, and I had this special group of clients, and one of them said, may I please board my puppy at your house? And I thought, if you're not a client I know very well, but you're friends with a client I know well, so you know what? Let's do it. Now, at the time, I also had a cleaning lady who came every Wednesday, and she'd been coming for many years and always knew to be careful with my dogs because, I had a backyard and the whole thing. So you know what the story is going to lead to. It was July. You know what happens. So I come out, and where's the dog? The dog's name happened to be Corrigan, named after Billy Corrigan of Smashing Pumpkins, because Billy Corrigan also lived in Oak Park, and Corrigan was her son, this woman's son, who is at summer camp. So he's probably in 5th or 6th grade, is at summer camp. They're up visiting him for the weekend at summer camp with his puppy Corrigan, a black thing. I can't remember what it was. I think it may have been some Schipperke or a Scotty or some shit. Anyway,
right.
I mean that with love toward little black.
Yeah.
So as you can imagine, what ends up happening is Corrigan runs away. The cleaning lady left the gate open, didn't recognize it was my dog, didn't even notice it was my dog, didn't think twice. Obviously, she was no longer the cleaning lady after that, but that set off many things into play. It was my first time that I lost a client's dog, and only time, knock on wood. And so it was for the next 48 hours of non-sleeping, just canvassing the community, every way, shape, and form. This is obviously all pre-internet. So I have nightmares still of this sound. Are you ready? I'm going to try to do it. This woman was very outspoken, I will let you know. And she wanted me to drive up to Wisconsin with her and go tell her son in person that I lost his dog.
Oh, that's brutal.
And she wasn't going to take no for an answer. And so not only was I looking for this dog for the dog and for the son, but I was looking for this dog out of just having to save myself from the humility. What's the word?
Devastation? I don't know.
The idea of having to tell a 10-year-old child that I lost a beloved puppy. Anyway, we did find Corrigan, but here's the sound that haunts me in my dreams. I'm going to try not to make it too loud. This is the woman. This is Corrigan's mom. Corrigan! Screaming through the alleys of Oak Park. I seriously, I have PTSD. I can't listen to Smashing Pumpkins ever. That is going for me completely.
That's unfortunate. It ruins Smashing Pumpkins for you.
I mean, legitimately cannot listen to Smashing Pumpkins. I kid you not. If a song comes on XR, if a song comes on the radio, I must change it. So Lost Pets.
Yeah.
That's you now. Lost pets are a real thing.
Oh, trigger for you.
You what?
It's a trigger for you.
Oh, it's like a serious trigger. And I also did. I lost my own puppy many years ago in 1991. He was stolen out of my backyard by some gangbangers who made me buy him back about 2 weeks later. That's another whole story. We can go on.
We could go on for days.
Yeah, go on for days. But the point is that all jokes aside, or all sort of making brevity aside, or levity aside, rather, this is a really serious thing because of, well, let's start here. 1 in 3 pets will go missing at some point in their life. Cool.
Yeah, and the statistics. So we started PetHub about 10 years ago. The statistics have changed somewhat, but in essence, they still are really devastating. And that's the thing. And you've just mentioned two different ways that pets go missing. And I think, Lost Pet Prevention Month was started by PetHub to deepen the conversation about lost pet prevention and recovery, because we felt that when we came into the scene, the conversation was 100% around microchips. And yet here, microchips, when we came on, microchips had been around for 25 years, and still the statistics were not great. Was there improvement with microchips? Absolutely, but it didn't solve the problem. It wasn't the panacea, I think, that the pet community had hoped it was. But yet the conversation about lost pet prevention was so centered on microchips, and not all the other things that go into lost pet prevention. We said we have to change this conversation. We have to expand this conversation. So we started Lost Pet Prevention. And funny story, real quick. It was supposed to be Lost Pet Prevention Week. And company.
Was it once Lost Pet Prevention Week? I remember
for about 24 hours. Let me tell you this quick story. So one of my dear friends, Amy Burkert, who's with Go Pet Friendly, she's going to totally hate that I'm telling the story, but it's funny and it's true. So Amy Burkert was helping us launch. Go Pet Friendly was the first partner content that was going to go out on July 1. And so she did this big, huge rollout in her newsletter, on Facebook, on her blog, everywhere. And she's got a great following. And she said, let's start Lost Pet Prevention Month. And all of these things said month. And I started getting in all these emails from all of our other partners saying, month. I thought it was a week. And there were some people who had said, I can't get this together by the end of the week or whatever. If I had more time, I could. And they're like, well, now that it's a month, I can totally get this to you in a week or so. So we really quickly scrambled, changed all of our graphics in like less than 24 hours. It went from week to month. So anyway, but it's actually good that we give ourselves a whole month, because there's a lot to talk about. And I could just start rambling if you want, but let me just back up just a little bit and talk about the here and now, which is that we're all experiencing, which is the pandemic and what that's done. And couple of months ago when my director of marketing and I were chatting about lost pet prevention, and our original plans had been very much geared towards things that are maybe not apropos right now. And so we're like, we have to reassess because life has changed. And we're like, what does the conversation need to be in July about lost pet prevention based on where we are right now? And one of the things that we were seeing in lost pet reports that were coming in found pet calls that were coming in were that people were really lacking those basic skills because we have become complacent, and we got into our routines of going to work, having the dog walker, the dog sitter, whatever. Those routines we were into, but as soon as we were now home all the time, and our kids were home all the time, just like they are in summer, all of a sudden we started having a lot more lost pets due to the pandemic and the things that were happening at home with the pandemic. And a lot of it had to do with, we've all gotten lazy on things that we would do if we were on vacation. We would do if we knew we were having a party and lots of people were going to be in and out and all those kind of things. But now, because our whole lives had changed, like some of the fundamentals were gone. So we decided that this year's Lost Pet Prevention Month was going to be back to the basics, because it is the basics, the fundamental identification, Houdini-proofing your home and yard, and training. Those fundamentals still are the core. We have to go back to those. So we can't really go on to expand about these new fancy things for lost pet prevention and recovery. We need to talk about the basics. So that's what we want to talk about today.
So this is, by the way, I'm having an aha moment, as I'm sure everyone that's focused, everyone that's tuning in and listening to your words of brilliance. So back to basics, you include that as being tags or ID. Can you list for me again?
Houdini-proofing your home and yard.
It's the Houdini.
Houdini.
Wait, say it again. Houdini.
I only know that so well because one of our pets is named Houdini.
Let me tell you something funny. Wait, so hold on, let's get this. Tags, ID, Houdini-proofing, and what was the last thing?
Training.
Oh, that thing?
Yeah.
So here's the funny thing about Houdini, as I'm just going to go ahead and show you. If you change some words around, here's what you get. Ready? I'm going to go ahead and. Ready?
Yeah.
Houdini.
There you go.
Right here live, we just came up with we coined a whole new term. That said, this is a really interesting point that I don't think I've heard anyone talk about, by the way, thinking about how COVID has impacted, obviously, so many, every corner of our life, especially as it relates to our relationship with our animals and our pet care providers. Is this something that, so let me ask you this. Yeah. This is, by the way, I'm having my own sort of aha moment right now. And I think probably a lot of other people will have that same moment. And then those same people who are business owners who have perhaps not serving clients at the capacity of many months ago, however, still clients that are dependent on them for information, still look forward to being clients again. Right. How can all of our subscribers, Petshine family members, how can they get this information cohesively and sort of in a good way? How can they deliver this to their clients, especially because in 3 or 4 days is one of the biggest days of the year as far as lost pets go. Well, let me start with the basics. I'm just going to start at the top, and I will say that all the information that I will share today is available on our website. There you go. You can even just go to lostpetprevention.com and it goes right to this page. But it's a great resource page. There's a ton of stuff on there. And then all month long, you will see new content coming out. And I would also encourage you, since you guys are, these are business owners, please reach out. We have a page, Lost Pet Prevention Month Partners. Please reach out to us and become part of that group. And because it's on Facebook and we are sharing content there all the time. And throughout the year, actually, we share content there. When new things come up, when new products come up, when one of our partners, or when we put out a piece of content that's really good for just like core sharing with people. By the way, if you hear commentary from upstairs from the 11-month-olds, just look at it as local flavor.
because he's.
I love local flavor here around here. You don't even know what's happened half the time. If you can imagine live for so many months, what happens? Trust me.
I cannot even. Yeah, I cannot. And in any moment, we're going to have a cat come in and be part of my, show. But anyway, okay. So let's start with the very basic, which is identification. And this is, and I could talk for hours about this, but I'll keep it succinct. You would not sit on a chair that had 1 or 2 legs. You would only sit on a chair and feel safe and reasonably secure if you had at least 3 legs. And that's how we encourage everyone to think of identification. You would not dream of going out in your world with like no way of identifying you when you're out, like if you're driving or wherever, you have your driver's license, when, and all these different kinds of things. And your pet can't speak for themselves. So for your folks here that are business owners, I think the biggest piece that they can give to their clients, their customers, is never, ever let your pet go naked. Obviously, everybody, and back to that microchip thing, the conversation's always been about microchips. And yes, they are the absolute most important safety net that a pet can have. But it should, yeah.
Going to read you a comment. This is a friendly comment, so I don't want to pass the moment.
Yeah.
Someone commented, I'm not comfortable with microchips. They can migrate and it hurts going in.
Yeah.
Have you had anyone else say that? Yes, is the answer, of course. What would you say to me to change my thinking? What a fabulous comment.
Well, and I again, that could be an entire show about just microchips. I understand being uncomfortable with microchips. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to force anybody to say, you've got to put this in your pet, because you are putting a foreign object into a animal's body. And I do understand how people are opposed to that. And I get it. And they do migrate. And if you've ever gone and watched a scan at a veterinarian or a shelter, a lot of times it's what I call lazy scanning. Quick, oh, don't see anything. And when you go in and you see somebody really take time and care, and it's usually, I don't know, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say it's because they know they're being observed, but
we know what you're saying. Everyone can agree between
when you see them carefully scan it, I mean, it's a long process. It's several, like it can be up to 10 minutes for scanning if it's really thoroughly done, which can be difficult, right? But the bottom line is that, it's put it in on that nape of the neck, in that nice fatty area there, but it can migrate. There can be local infections. There is no proof that it causes cancer. There's a lot of, I'll put journalism in quotes, because there is a lot of journalism out there that claims it does, but there is no scientific proof that it causes cancer.
Right.
Could it possibly cause cancer or other kind of issues? Sure, it could, but there is no scientific study out there that's proving that. So make sure that that's clear. But it definitely can migrate. I had a pet myself that had migrated down on her leg.
Down to her leg?
Well, yeah, down the.
So it went literally down her.
Because of where it was, and whatever. And I'm not even sure if it's because of how soon it had happened. It wasn't until much later in her life that we discovered that it had migrated. Yeah. But there's a lot of issues with microchips.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the pro stuff first, okay? Because I do believe, with all of the issues potentially with microchips, I still believe that they're the ultimate safety net. I really do. Because a color can fall off. Mm-hmm. A tag can fall off. A tag can become unreadable. And at the end of the day, if your pet shows up naked to a veterinarian or a shelter, that microchip is one of the last hopes you have. It's not the only hope, but it's one of the last hopes you have to make sure that pet gets back to you. And we do hear stories of pets that are years later get home because of their microchip. But let's talk about why it's years, which is ridiculous and infuriating to me, rather than days or even hours. Couple things. You have to rely on somebody knowing to take your pet into a shelter or a veterinarian to get scanned. So, and I was shocked when I first came into this industry, how many people didn't know that a microchip existed. And even now, 10 years later that we've been doing this now, there's still people that don't know that microchips exist. I had to just educate somebody just last week what do you mean a microchip? What's that thing? Oh, I didn't know about that. They'd never had a pet in their lives. They love animals, but they didn't understand that that was part of pet ownership, pet parenting. So there's that. You have to hope that they'll take it in. You have to hope that they don't have a preconceived notion about whatever the local shelter system is, that if I take this animal into the shelter, they're going to be euthanized, which is a myth that exists. It might be true in certain regions or localities, but it's certainly not true nationwide. But the myth exists nationwide that if you take an animal into a shelter, it's going to be euthanized, particularly if it's certain types of breed. So you have to trust that they're going to take them in to get scanned. Right. And they're just not going to either try to return them themselves with posters or whatever, or keep the animal for themselves. So you have to trust. Number two, you also have to trust that when they get to where that place it is scanning, that they are properly scanned. And properly scanned is more than just making sure that it's fully covering the body and slow and easy. It also has to make sure that the scanner is a universal scanner. Because here's one of the things that infuriates me about the microchip industry. There are multiple frequencies for RFID chips, and each microchip company has its own frequency. Okay. And some microchips have their own scanners that pick up their microchip, but they don't pick up others.
How is that possible in this day and age that we don't have consistency around this? Or is this?
Well, we do have more. We do have more. I mean, the industry, the microchip industry has done a lot of work in the last, 5-10 years to improve that. And it's not that, there are a bunch of jerks out there who just, whatever. But the fact of the matter is there are still microchip companies that are giving for free their scanner to the shelter, the veterinarian that's using their microchip, and it still only scans their microchips. But there are universal scanners. There's a lot of grant programs that are out there. There are a lot of companies that are out there trying to make sure that universal scanners get into shelters and veterinarians, and some, particularly in rural areas, there are some places that they might have one scanner for the entire region. It's getting better. It's absolutely getting better, but it's not there yet. So you have to rely on the fact that my pet's going to go to a veterinarian. Veterinarians are probably where we see the most discrepancy as whether or not they have a universal scanner, or a shelter where the scanner will pick up on the type of chip that I have. Another issue with microchips, I just saw this morning on a video that we're putting out in a couple of days. 58% of microchips are registered in some way. Of those microchips that are registered, they're not necessarily up to date or accurate, but 42% are not even registered.
Okay, so here's my question. Let's just talk practically. And that, by the way, I honestly might fall into this percentage of statistic right now as I'm thinking about my own dog, and I just moved. Yeah. I don't remember if I changed it. So, right. So what's a practical, here, let's do this.
Practical stuff to do?
Yeah, like what? So around microchips alone, right? I think that because I love your whole thinking, and I love what you're saying. I love the position you're taking and the awareness you're bringing to microchips being the ultimate safety net. Like that is just, honestly, I feel like that statement alone is I think the human brain can sort of grab that and run with it. And if
they're not enough. They're not enough by themselves.
No. Got that.
Yeah, let me give you some practical things that to get people to help make those microchips as effective as possible.
I'm actually going to literally, even though I have access to you anytime and I can watch this video again, I'm literally, and I would suggest anyone else who wants to do this, I'm going to literally take notes in my own personal notebook because I'm going to take care of this today.
And by the way, we have a lot of resources too on PetHub.com that talk about these things too. But when I can make sure we forward those to you when we're done here. Foundanimals.org is a free microchip registry. They're wonderful people.
Well,
yeah.
I'm going to go backwards. You mean Found Animals in LA?
Yeah, Michelson's Found Animals.
Okay. So, Amy Gilbreth?
Yeah, Amy. Yeah. I don't know that she's with them. I don't think she's with them anymore. I think she actually moved on to other places. That's okay. That's another story.
Recently, obviously, very recently.
Yeah, very recently. Yeah. But she's wonderful, and everything that they do there, we love Found Animals. So they have a
FetchFind, by the way. They use FetchFind for their training.
Great, perfect.
Yeah.
So they have a free microchip registry. So even if you aren't sure if you've updated whatever company owns or has the microchip, you can go back and register there.
I'm out. So I'm taking a 3 steps back right now because now you're I want to work under the assumption that someone doesn't even remember.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back. Okay. So if you don't remember what type of microchip your pet even has, which is really common, especially if you've got a rescue dog, right? Or cat. You can either go back to the shelter where you adopted them and ask them to scan, or they usually will have that information there. And a lot of times it'll be registered to the shelter or the rescue that you originally adopted the pet. And that's one of the places where it's registered, but it's not really accurate or up to date. So go back there first and foremost. Okay. Second, if you don't have that option anymore, like if you're like some friends of mine who found an animal that it has a microchip that was never registered ever and nobody ever claimed it, so they just kept him at home, you can get your veterinarian who hopefully has that universal scanner. They'll scan it. They'll be able to tell what type of microchip it is, and they'll be able to give you the number on the microchip. And then you'll go to whatever company that is, to their website, and I guarantee they have some sort of register your chip type of function. So
question as a follow-up, Ms. Clemens, question. COVID.
Yeah.
So COVID, sort of how do we take that thinking and apply it to COVID era? Is it possible that if everyone right now, including myself, by the way, wants to run to their veterinarian or local shelter and go to their dogs just to make sure that they're compliant with the information? Yeah. What is your advice for folks that
get on the phone?
What?
Get on the phone first. First, get on the phone.
All of that and say, can I run and do my dog scan?
Because a lot of them actually may already have it in their records. So, like, if especially.
Oh, this is great. Okay, thank you.
Because they've done that. If a really good veterinarian who's done a thorough, entry level exam on your pet when you first got them, that first wellness exam. Really good vets, not all vets, and some of them you have to ask for it, but really good vets, they do it as part of the process. At least mine did. I've certainly been to the ones that haven't, but my current ones did. They even said, should we scan for the chip? And we're like, yeah, let's do that. And that's when we found one of our pets had him down on the shoulder. But so call first, call the shelter or the rescue first, because a lot of them will have that in their databases. Right. But if they don't, you call, you make an appointment. A lot of veterinarians are trying to open up, and our vet, for example, they do curbside pickup essentially. You make an appointment, you go, you drive up, the masked and gloved tech takes you, you're wearing your mask, you hand the pet over, they take him in, they bring him back out. I mean, the whole thing. It's actually, it's actually pretty interesting. From what I've heard from a couple of techs I've talked to, some of the pets actually behave better because mommy and daddy are not there.
Oh, that's like that's
nothing fairly. But I'm cognizant of the time, so I want to make sure that I can get other things. So register the chip on found animals and then go to the actual place that the chip belongs or the type of chip it is. Now here's the sticky wicket. A lot, not all, but a lot of the microchips do charge you in order to update the information or to keep it current or to have the lost pet recovery, whatever things that they have attached to it. If you like, they'll allow you to have your name and number, but they won't allow you to have anything else. So unless you
blame them. They're a business. I can't blame them. They're a business.
No, they don't have to make money. They have to keep their lights on. I mean, this is, let's be honest, we're all trying to put food on our plates. And it's a business. And it is hard when a lot of people are like, they should do this for free. Well, no, that's not reasonable, nor is it realistic. We all have to make money. But I would say that then Found Animals is a great resource because it's part of the AHA lookup tool and everything too. So, okay, I want to move on because I know that microchips are one thing, but I don't want the conversation to be just about microchips.
You're right.
Okay, so the other two legs of the stool, one I'll do really quickly and then I'm going to dive really deeply, but the other leg of the stool is license your pet. You're licensing your pet gives you legal proof that pet belongs to you. And we have seen in the era of, people stealing dogs and reselling them on Craigslist, licensing your pet can actually help you get your pet back in that situation. So license your pets. We don't know the exact numbers, but we think around 2/3 to 3/4 of the municipalities in the United States have some sort of license or registration requirement. At the very least, they have a rabies tag requirement. Right. And making sure that you have that done for your pet will help you give yourself legal proof that that pet belongs to you. Plus, a lot of municipalities, once you've licensed your pet, they'll do like, free first get home, get out of jail for free. If they do get picked up by animal control, a lot of them will even give pets rides home. If they're a licensed pet, they'll go ahead and take them right to your door. So license your pet. The second most important thing, though, or I actually think it's the second most important thing after microchipping, is external identification. Never, ever, ever let your pet go naked. The only time my pets ever had their tags taken off was when they were in the bathtub. And then the second they got off, before they were even dry, that collar went back on. Now, I know that there are some that can't wear collars for whatever reason, and we can talk about some other options there. But honestly, that's a small percentage that can't wear a tag. And I don't necessarily believe that you should be having a collar for leash control either. The collar, as far as I'm concerned, is identification. And of course, we recommend a digital ID tag like PetHub IDs because they can hold unlimited information. It's linked to a free online profile. You can update the emergency contact information anytime you need to. So if you are traveling, or you get a new cell phone, or you have your neighbors on there, your spouse, your kids, your whatever, you can update that at any time. I mean, I know that not many of us are traveling right now, but we have countless stories of people who put their pet sitter or their dog walker's name on their emergency contact list, and then they weren't available. I mean, even now I'm working from home, but my personal phone does not get picked up during the day. And if one of my animals gets out of my house, my pet sitter's name is the very next one on the list.
So hold on for 1 second. So this is an awesome connectivity moment, because one of the things we're talking about with our subscribers, our Pets Find family, is what can they do during a low service period, which is right now, and what can they do for connectivity, for meaningful assistance, and to be central to their clients' lives. So I love this, by the way, right? This is such an authentic, awesome moment. So is a great takeaway for subscribers, just the idea of send an email out, offering up your information. So first of all, giving directions around making sure that their microchip or their tag or their identification is updated, whatever that is, whether it's PetHub tag, microchip, or traditional collar. But there's a secondary line of information that should be their pet sitter or daycare and boarding facility, because they're available 24/7.
Right. And the reason I like the digital ID tag, I mean, obviously PetHub is what we do. That's my business. But there are several different digital ID tags out there. The reason I like those is because they can be changed. They can be updated. If you think about a traditional etched ID tag, it's static. There's a couple things, actually. It's static. If any of your information changes, you have to get an entirely new tag. If you have a digital ID tag, you can update it anytime. The second thing is, we call it the creepy guy at the dog park scenario. I'll never forget being about 15 years ago at the dog park, my dog, and she had her tag on, and it had her name on the front, and it had my name and phone number on the back. Okay. And the guy started calling her by her name. And then I realized he was putting my phone number into his phone. And then he started texting me about how he wanted to go out. And if you think about today and how, secure we are trying to be with our personal identifiable information, your pet's walking around with personal identifiable information right there. And the creepy guy at the dog park doesn't have to do much at all to get your phone number and potentially your name. And some people even put their home address on their pet's ID tag, thinking that they're helping their pet get home quickly, which yes, they are, but you're also helping that creepy guy at the dog park. So, and your dog isn't even in a lost pet situation. So with digital ID tags, like with PetHub, for example, you can go in and set your privacy levels. Everything on my pet's ID tags are set at private. And our call center can see 100% of all the information and facilitate your pet getting home without anybody ever seeing it. The minute I know my pet's missing, I go in and I unprivatize, I make it public, the things that I want people to be able to see so that they can call me directly and that kind of thing. But if they were to get lost without me knowing, the call center that was on every single ID tag which is 24/7, real human beings there to help your pet get home. And that is a free service that we offer with our ID tags.
So you also mentioned earlier, before we went live, you were talking about COVID and how there's been, there's been an increase in lost pets, not just because of 4th of July, but because of life.
Well, it's about the Houdini proof. That goes to the next part, which is the Houdini proofing your life. Houdini, musician who is known for getting out of tight situations. We actually have a cat named Houdini because she gets herself out of very tight situations. Sometimes we get amazed how she can get out. But when a lot of people started being home more, particularly with children in their home more, there's a lot more open doors. There's a lot more open windows. There's a lot more opportunities for pets to get out. You're out in the yard more often than you would be normally, except for like during a summer party or things like that. So, taking that, walking through the house and looking at it from your pet's perspective of where they could get out. And like, for example, is your door one of those doors that has one of those lovely things that keeps it from slamming and so it closes slowly? Well, that's a really easy way for a pet to scramble out really quickly. Are your screens fully intact with no rips or tears and strong enough that a dog that was frightened by fireworks or whatever couldn't scratch their way out? Those type of things inside the house, Houdini proofing are important. And then in the yard, going around the perimeter of the yard with a fine-tooth comb and making sure that there's no easy way for the pet to get out of the backyard. One of the things that we discovered in the wintertime, because COVID happened here, I can't speak for the rest of the country, but we live at 3,200 feet. We get a crap ton of snow. And pets that normally were inside during the winter, during the day, were now being let out a lot more. Well, all of a sudden you got these snowdrifts everywhere up against fences. And those are just launching pads for pets that want to jump over the fence.
Well, never.
And weren't, because people were coming home, they were walking their dogs when they were at work, and now they're just letting the dog run out in the yard because they're getting tired of them being underfoot in the house. And all of a sudden there are things that are in their yard that they didn't even realize were escape routes for the dog.
So is this another, I'm always looking for connectivity points for clients, for pet professionals, pet businesses, to create more relevance around the need to continue engagement with their service providers. So one obviously is to be the contact for pet ID tags, but you just touched on something that a lot of folks are talking about. In fact, I have a big call later next week with a group of folks out in California who are procurement boarding providers who are putting together basically, for lack of a better term, what do you call the word when you put together messaging, like a campaign? Putting together a campaign for Northern Californians about, you're home. However, here are the top, I'm making this up right now, what the campaign actually is, but it's around the idea, you're home, but here are the top 3 reasons that you need to re-engage us and use our facility or our service. And so I wonder if there's a way, and perhaps it's already in the literature, and if it is, then we can just go ahead and point to it. But I wonder if there's a way to talk about Lost Pet Prevention Month and engage.
This just came to me, by the way, Jamie, while you were talking, and you and I do this all the time, right? We go, oh yeah, I got this idea.
So annoying.
This could be actually a really interesting, I think, valuable monetization opportunity for trainers and dog sitters and things like that, is to go in and help pet parents Houdini proof their home, or do that evaluation, because pet parents don't necessarily know all the different ways that a pet could escape, and having a fresh set of eyeballs, just go in with a checklist and check everything for you and say, okay, it's just like getting a home inspection, right?
Like, did you get a baby proofer to come over? I did, because I was a nervous wreck. I'm anxious anyway.
Well, what I did was I had friends that have had babies before go, all right, look at my stuff. And they're like, oh my God, oh my God, that's going to be a disaster right there. That right there is Kilimanjaro for that baby.
So hold on, this is actually a really big moment. I mean, a good takeaway. And I love this right now, because this is why, this is the only reason, frankly, that I do Facebook Lives, because I hope that a nugget will surface that will support our client base to move the business forward. And this whole idea of putting together a Houdini proofing package, which Lorien, because we're who we are and we're entrepreneurial and thoughtful, I'm going to say live right now, you and I, that we take this on ourselves as a pet project and put together a list that we can distribute co-branded, right?
I love it. And I'm going to add on to this because you mentioned Northern California.
Yeah.
So Northern California, much like where I live in North Central Washington,
this is huge.
We have a major issue this time of year, and that's fires. Which this is another part. It's an extension of what we were talking about with identification, but being prepared for disasters is key. And that's a place that pet professionals can really help pet parents understand how to be really prepared. We have a kit on PetHub.com called the Ready Kit. And it's beyond an ID tag. It's got an ID tag, but it's also got a tag that goes on the outside of your travel crate. Imagine if you have to do a shelter in a situation where you have to leave your home and you can't take your pet with you, which happens all the time in these forest fire situations that we have here. You can have an identification that links to that free online PetHub.com profile that goes on the outside of the crate. When you take them to the shelter, they have that identification there. And then you can change things as you need to on the fly. You're moving to this shelter or this hotel. So the shelter always knows where you are and can immediately help get in contact with you. The kit also has the kit also has a card and then a keychain, detachable keychain attachment that says, "My pets are home alone." And because imagine if you get displaced and your pets are by themselves at the house, the keychain and then a wallet card that goes in your wallet links again to that profile that has all the additional people that need to help your pet get home. If you're in a car accident, if you have a heart attack, let's say you go into the emergency room because you've got some COVID symptoms and then boom, you are now in the ICU. Who's taking care of your pets when you get back home? This wallet card gives those first responders access to the people that can help your pets at home. So the Ready Kit, you can find it at PetHub.com/ReadyKit, I think. The Ready Kit is another key thing that pet professionals can help their clients learn about. And we have opportunities as well for wholesale things if that's something that they want to do to do it.
I know you and I have a call after this just to sort of because we're actually because of course all transparency, Lorien and I, PetHub are kicking off an official partnership around a couple of really exciting things. And so you and I have a call after this to sort of move all of that forward.
Right.
So let's make sure that we include this in our agenda of items today. Because I honestly, listen, I just want our industry to be okay. And I know it's not going to be as okay as we want it to be, at least in the next several months, but we do need to be agile and thoughtful and meet folks where they're at. And this whole idea of in-home assessments and putting together plans, because everyone's got so much on their plate. I mean, they're trying to figure out if their kids are going back to school, for God's sakes.
Right.
Houdini-proofing and disaster planning for my cat. And I don't have a cat, I'm just saying in general, as a client, sort of a general client thinking. But this is such an awesome opportunity to provide value, be front of mind, monetize, and create a new revenue stream, because this is also something you can offer to people who aren't your clients.
Well, can I ask one more thing too? And I'll make sure that I send you the link. I don't have it handy right now. But the businesses that are listening in right now and all of your clients, they should join PetHub's community alert system, because
you'll link that in the comments. Will you do that when you go back to Facebook? Okay, you'll link.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. So we have, now this is for our basic service is free, which I've been talking all about the basic service, but our premium service, one of the things that we do is people can send out a lost pet alert, and they send it in a 50-mile radius from where the pet went missing. And then places that, pet care providers, veterinarians, shelters, all the shelters are automatically in there. That's something that we curate as a company. But then any pet care provider can add themselves to our community list. And then they also get notifications when these pets are missing. So they should add themselves to that list.
It could be one of their clients.
Yeah,
exactly. They will legitimately get their own alert for, and then they can send their staff out.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like somebody already put it in. Yay.
Oh, thanks, Melanie.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Melanie. So that that will allow them to then be part of that. And the thing is too, it's not just like, maybe it's going to be one of your clients that puts out that alert, but it could be somebody that's not one of your clients. But if you're able to help them and you're able to put out that information, that just makes you a more valuable resource within your own community, that you're part of PetHub's lost pet stuff. So their lost pet network.
Listen, so what time is it? It's I can look at my, okay, it's 10:17.
Yeah.
So we've been doing this for congratulations, not at all shocking, of all of these events. This is the longest Facebook Live I've had. Of course it is. And I say that with a tremendous amount of delight in my heart. So here's what I want to do. I want to wrap up because I want people to watch the whole thing. And I think that when it gets too long, it's
a little bit daunting.
We all have like a little bit of ADD or lately and always maybe. I'm speaking for myself. And so then I think what we want to do is wrap this up. We'll put everything in the comments. What I'd like to do, Melanie, I know you're listening. Melanie, if we can put together the top 3 things that came from this conversation, and even, can I make this even more daunting for you, Melanie? And I'm talking to her live through Facebook. This is like, she's just rolling her eyes right now and or laughing or both. Can you timestamp some of the bigger, more sort of not compelling, but the sort of the key points? If you can timestamp those for people so they can go and hear directly from Lorien, her wonderful advice, her insight, and some of the shareable moments, I think that would be really valuable, because I want everyone to listen to all 40 million minutes, but I also want to make sure we're here to service. We're here for our clients. We're here. This is not about Lorien. It's not about Jamie or Fetchfind. This is about you guys. And so this Facebook Live is for you to move your businesses forward, to support you and your communities, to support you as an entrepreneur and someone who is looking to potentially shift or pivot some of the business and service offerings. So let's make sure, Melanie, that we're getting really clear about thanks, Mel, about where people can get that information. And Lorien, I'm so glad that when we end this, we'll be on a phone call together, because I feel
on a call. Yep.
I feel so inspired right now.
Okay.
And I think that it's time that that this is the kickoff July 1st.
Good job. Thank you. Thank you so much for having us on. We really appreciate it.
This is great. And I feel so excited to have you and to help people and to help you and just to be the whole thing. Because, by the way, I just want to say one more thing. You are so kick-ass. But let's just stop for 1 second. And people can stop listening now. I don't care. I want to say on public record, I want digital footprint of me just giving you like so many props and so much, bring awareness to the great person, the great woman you are. No, like, for real. Like, you're really powerful and special, and like you win these awards and accolades, and you take them with such a grain of salt, and you keep on moving on. I have never, ever been in a conversation with you. I don't care if we're talking in Palm Springs at the conference or on the phone or we're somewhere. I mean, we've seen each other coast to coast for a decade. I mean, like and there's never been a single conversation, and I mean this, and I want to say this to you, there's never been a single conversation where you have not lived and breathed your mission. Like, you are totally in this for all of the right reasons. Your commitment is so much beyond financial and so much beyond your own career development. You are totally in this. And I feel like that's something that I know you've heard other people say about you, but I just want to take this public moment and just acknowledge you and recognize you for the great woman you are and the inspiring entrepreneur you are, and like what you've done for our like for millions of pets. And you should know that you really matter a lot to a lot of people.
I really appreciate that. I think very, very quick story, because I know we're wrapping up, but 11 years ago, when my then boyfriend and I were driving, and he said, "Hey, I think I'm going to leave Microsoft and start this company." And I'm thinking, okay, we just moved in together, but all right. And I was like, well, and I was at the time, I was a Montessori teacher, and I was doing Montessori curriculum development and working with children. And I said, all right, so what's you going to do? Microsoft, great, stable career, but okay, what are you going to do? And he said, I'm going to start a company to help people raise their pets better and keep their pets safe and everything. I was like, I'm in 100%. And it was immediate epiphany moment for me. First of all, I knew that this was the man that I was going to love for the rest of my life. But second, it was also just this I felt like I had a calling immediately when he started talking about his vision, and I could see his vision, and I was able to quickly embody that. And so I appreciate you saying that, because it's never been about the money. I mean, obviously we want to keep our lights on and we want to make sure we keep food on our table, but it really is like, how can we help make pets' parent lives simpler and make sure that pets stay home and safe? So it's been our mission, and I love living that mission.
Well, you do, and you do it beautifully, and you're a wonderful representative of a powerful female entrepreneur in our pet space. And if anyone doesn't know Lorien, she's always available to people to be supportive and be a voice and give opinions. I can't tell you how many times we've sat in a corner where I've been like, can you look at this for me? I mean, literally, I think this year, remember when we were in—
Yeah, totally. I love geeking out on that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Literally, we're sitting in like this huge this thing, and I'm like, can you look at this document? And you're like, I don't mind if I do. And you just changed the entire messaging and made a huge difference. Which, by the way, speaking of, you do have a wonderful podcast, which is Pet Lover Geek. I've been on it a couple times. I've listened to so many of them. You always have great guests. You've spanned the whole pet universe as far as guests. You've been on that show. How many years? 5, 6?
I think we're entering our 5th year.
Okay. So great content there as well. Fetch Find will be putting out a bunch of content as well. We'll make sure like we'll keep everyone posted on Lost Pet Prevention Month. And again, you and I will start to move our stuff forward in a more significant way. And all right, everybody, I love you guys. I miss you.
Everybody, thank you for having me on.
Have a wonderful, safe 4th of July. I know that this is a crazy time, and only it's going to be a little bit crazier as we get through the next couple of months as a community, but we will do it together. I'm here for you, and as is the entire Fetch Find team. And if you need anything, you know that we're just a phone call or text or email away. All right. Be safe. I'll see you guys next week. Love you all. Bye. Thanks, Lorien. You're the best.
Bye.